Good morning. Today we are going to see about historical background of Indian polity. For this, let's trace back to 31st December 1600, the day on which East India Company established with a charter signed by Queen Elizabeth with a special privilege of trade monopoly. So, from England, no competitors came to trade here with East India Company, but other European countries came, namely Portuguese, Dutch. These two countries came before East India Company, and then East India Company came to India, and after this, Danish and French also came here to trade. So, from 31st December 1600 to 1765, we can call it as a first phase of history with regard to Indian polity. Between this time, East India Company competed with all these European power and they eliminated one by one from their competition. But to eliminate French alone, it took a little longer than 1765. Within 1765, all of the European competitors has been eliminated from picture and East India Company established as supreme among all them. In this course of time, 1757, important battle, that is Plassey, between Indian side and British. It took on 23rd June 1757. Though British easily won this battle, but they didn't assume any political or administrative role directly. Till 1757 or even till 1764, that is Battle of Buxar, British concentrated only on trade. Their main motive is to attain privilege to do free trade without any restriction in India. Even after Plassey, they appointed Nawab, puppet Nawab, in order to cooperate with them. But even this puppet Nawab doesn't cooperate at all the times when East India Company required. So they themselves decided to become Nawabs, and by the time a battle of Buxar took place on 22 October 1764, and this battle of Buxar is a turning point for East India Company. This gave a platform for East India Company to get transformed from trade to political and administrative body. They didn't leave trade. Along with trade, they started to be a political and administrative body too. After Battle of Buxar victory, Mughal Emperor Shah Alam gave East India Company Diwani right. This Diwani right means revenue collecting power, revenue collecting authority. This has been exercised in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. In all these three places, East India Company is authorized to be a Diwan, and for this purpose, East India Company appointed two deputy Diwans, one Muhammad Reza Khan and other Raja Shidab Rai, and he has been appointed for Bengal and Raja is for Bihar. With Deputy Diwan, between 1765 to 1772, a new form of government established, that is a dual government. Under this form of government, Nawab and East India Company shared their power, that is responsibility is being given to Nawab and East India Company assumed the power of collecting revenue from all these three places. And at the time, Bengal is the most flourishing province. So, the revenue which they saw from all these, especially from Bengal, made these East India Company servants to become more corrupt. Even before Battle of Buxar, there was a corruption taking place in East India Company. But after this, the revenue, the lump sum amount which they saw in the revenue collection from Bihar, Bengal and Orissa made them more corruptive, and they day by day stopped concentrating on trade. they were more concentrate on stacking their own wealth. And between this 7 year, company servants are so keen on stacking their own wealth. By the time 1770, a great famine hit Bengal, and this wiped one third of the population, that is nearly 10 million people died on this. And this famine resulted in a bad hit on revenue collection. Since company doesn't concentrate much on trade and company, this sudden hit of famine resulted in bankruptcy. So at this point of time, on 1772, Warren Hastings has been appointed here, and seeing the company status, he approached Britain PM Lord North, and Lord North doesn't give loan immediately. He appointed a select committee in order to examine the company status. Since company servants are very rich, but company is moving towards is being pushed to a bankruptcy. And one of the great examples is Clive. He came to India on 1743 at the age of 18. He returned to London on 1767 with approximately 4 lakh sterling pound, that is at today's price it is equivalent to 4 crore, and he has been enquired in Britain by 1772. Though he acquitted, on 1774 he committed suicide. And all this made Lord North to appoint a select committee, and based on this committee report, East India Company trade domain is widened, and they assumed a political and administrative role. Seeing this development in East India Company, PM Lord North decided to regulate and control the activities of East India Company. For this purpose, based on this select committee report, he passed a regulating act of 1773. This is mainly in order to regulate the East India Company, but this act also recognized its political and administrative stand, that is it recognized its political holding. So this is the starting point of centralized administration in India, because after regulating Act 1773, a series of acts has been passed till 1947, our independence. So PM Lord North, based on the report of select committee, he passed a regulating act 1773, and this is primarily to regulate the East India Company and its activities. It also recognized its political holding. So this is regarded as the foundation for central administration in India, because following this a series of act has been passed till 1947, which shaped our Indian polity, and it took our Indian polity to next advanced stages towards democratic our present day India. And following regulating Act 1773, amending Act 1781 is being passed, and then Pitt's India Act 1784, then Act of 1786. Then after Act of 1786, next series of act is called as Charter Act, and this Charter Act is being first time passed on 1793, and then subsequently 4 Charter Act has been passed in the interval of 20 years, that is 1813, 1833 and 1853, and then 1857 Sepoy Mutiny, and after this 1858 Government of India Act 1858 is being passed, and by this only India went under Crown control. So from 1765 to 1858 it has been under East India Company rule. Only after 1858, India is brought under Crown rule, that is directly under British Parliament. So after that, Indian Council Act has been passed on 1861, and then on 1892, and then on 1909, then followed by this Government of India Act 1919 and 1935. From this Government of India Act 1935, a lots of provisions taken and copied in our Indian Constitution also. So it is more important to see detailed on Government of India Act 1935, and then finally Indian Independence Act on 1947. So these are the act which has been passed before formulating our Constitution Assembly. Let's see all these acts in detail in our subsequent videos. Thank you.